He confessed to a double homicide, but what he's truly afraid of isn't a jail cell. The man who confessed to the East Channel murders smelled wrong. Not like booze or piss or the sour sweat of desperation I deal with every day. He smelled of static. Like a TV screen after you shut it off, that hum of dead air and ozone you can almost taste. He sat in interrogation 3, calm as a lake, and asked for me by name, not Detective Sharma. He asked for Anja. Nobody's called me Anja since my grandmother died. The case was a ghost, a full year cold. 2 bodies, a rival crew hit, no witnesses, no casings, nothing. It was the only smudge on my record. 66 closed cases. This was supposed to be 67. The one that would get me my gold shield. The one that would finally shut up the old boys who still looked at me like I was the secretary. So when dispatch crackled that a walk-in was confessing to the East Channel job, I didn't walk. I flew. Heels clacking on the linoleum, a frantic drumbeat counted down the seconds until he changed his mind, until this whole beautiful, perfect gift dissolved into smoke. "Take it easy, Sharma," grunted Detective Miller from his desk, not looking up from his crossword. "He ain't going nowhere. He was wrong. These guys always go somewhere. They walk, they lawyer up, they die. You get 1 shot." I shoved through the door to interrogation 3, so hard it banged against the stopper. And there he was. He looked right through me. His face was a web of thin dreads, but his eyes were the main event. Old, tired eyes. He sat with his hands flat on the steel table. On the back of his right hand, a tattoo of a cobra coiled headless. The stump of its neck bled ink onto his knuckles. "I'm Detective Sharma," I said, my voice tight in my throat. "You asked for me." He blinked once. A slow, deliberate motion. "Orrin Calloway," he said. His voice was a rasp, like sandpaper on bone. "And I need to tell you what I did." He never asked for a lawyer, he just started talking. And the weird part is, his confession will never see a courtroom. It got buried. Paperwork, politics, you know how it is. But the story, the story is still crawling under my skin. These are his words. "You know the snake in the story? The one in the garden. He gets a bad rap. All he did was show them what was already there. That the line between one thing and another is bullshit. That's all. I saw it. I saw the space between the lines. I lived in it. That's why I'm here. That's why I have to talk." Last night, Vex found me. He had the back room of a 24-hour diner locked down. Just us. Vex, my cousin, Isaiah. The kid I used to share a controller with before we started sharing turf and body counts. He sat across from me, the fluorescent lights turning his green eyes into chips of glass. He hated me. I put his brother in the ground. I saw that hate simmering behind his eyes every time he looked at me. "I got a deal for you," he said. "No hello, just that." I almost laughed. A deal from Vex was a punchline to a joke I didn't want to hear. "Fuck your deal." "Hear me out, O." He leaned forward, the vinyl of the booth groaning. 5 figures. And a record deal. I'm serious. Hope is a bastard. It's a weed that grows in the cracks of a crumbling building. I felt it sprout in my chest, hot and stupid. A way out. A way back. My music. "Why?" The word came out a croak. I cleared my throat, tried again. "Why me?" "Your blood," he said. And for one single idiot second, I believed him. I thought about summers at our grandmother's house, the smell of her cooking, the shared secrets. I thought maybe, just maybe, the blood we shared was thicker than the blood we'd spilled. Then he laughed. A sharp, ugly bark that shattered the moment. And I had to laugh with him, a hollow, rattling sound in my own throat, because of course it was a lie. "Of course, it's business." "Oh," he said, his smile gone. "It's always business." "What business?" "The label. They signed me. They heard your track." He sneered when he said it. "That thing you put out." I knew the one he meant. I could feel the beat in my teeth. I muttered the hook under my breath, just for him. Empty the clip, watch a mother cry. Another name scratched out. Another reason why. His jaw tightened. "Got him. They don't care that it's real," he said. "They like that it's real. I shot back. They love it, he corrected, his eyes glittering. It's a story. They'll push you. We beef online, trade a few shots, make it look hot. Then some old head rapper comes out, tells us to stop the violence, and boom. We're on every blog, every news channel. Two cousins from the gutter making peace, making millions. He spread his hands like a preacher. They eat that family shit up. It sounded too good. Which meant the other shoe was about to drop. What's the catch? Vex's smile came back, slow and sharp. The score's not even. Your crew is up on ours. The story needs balance. He leaned in so close I could smell the mint on his breath. You gotta erase Ghost. The name hit me like a physical blow. Ghost. My boy. My fucking brother. The world went quiet. I could hear the hum of the drink cooler, the distant clatter of a pan in the kitchen. I thought about scrubbing dishes, how some stains just don't come out. They just fade a little, become part of the plate. You live with them? The label said that? My voice was flat. The label said the story needs a new chapter. Something big. Turkey drives don't get streams, cousin. Why, Ghost? Because I said so. The smile was gone. It was just business again. Because it'll hurt you the most. And that sells. I stared at him. It was just us two in that diner. I could have ended him right there. Put a hole in his perfect story. He knew it too. He stood up, casual, and slid out of the booth. He didn't even look back at me as he walked to the door. You'll do it, he said, his hand on the door. It's always business. He was right. You make deals every day. The coffee you drink, the phone in your pocket, the person you vote for. You trade a little piece of yourself for something you want. You do it enough. You forget what you're trading away. You look at the scales and you think they're balanced. The secret is there are no scales. There's just the wanting and the getting, and what you do in between. That's the space I lived in, the nothing in the middle. I found Ghost at his spot. The air was thick with weed smoke and the sound of some televangelist yelling from the flat screen. The whole apartment had this sticky feeling, like a film of old regrets clung to every surface. Ghost was trying to find God again. He did that every few months. Flipped through religions like radio stations, looking for a signal that could cut through the static of his life. Right now, he was back on Jesus. We gotta move, I said before he could even pass the blunt. Rival crew. They're posted up at that old church on St. Jude. Ghost coughed, a plume of smoke clouding his face. A church, man. He muted the TV. The preacher's face froze in a silent shout. It's quiet. It's perfect. I don't know. Oh, killing a man in God's house. You tried to fuck that girl Aliyah in a church bathroom. That was different. Was it? He didn't have an answer. He just looked down at the burnt-out roach in the ashtray. A lot of people were gone now. We all grew up together, man. Every single person we put on a t-shirt, I knew their favorite candy, knew their mama's name. You do that enough times, and you start to feel like a ghost yourself. Man, I'm a Christian now, he mumbled. You'll be a Buddhist tomorrow, I said. Let's go. I saw the hurt in his eyes. He tried to laugh it off, but it was there. That's the rule. You don't show it. You swallow it down. We walked into St. Jude's Cathedral. Place was a tomb, smelled of dust and decay and forgotten prayers. Moonlight cut through the grime on the stained glass windows, painting long, sad shapes on the floor. Ghost walked ahead of me down the main aisle, his footsteps echoing in the huge, empty space. A loyal soldier, a good friend, following a snake. He kept his eyes on the altar at the far end. I don't see no one. Oh, they're gone now, I said. I pulled the gun. The weight of it was familiar, solid. I centered the sight on the back of his head, right where his skull met his neck. I pulled the trigger. The sound was obscene in the silence of that holy place. A wet crack that ripped the air apart. Then I wasn't there. I wasn't anywhere. Then I was. I was sitting in a booth. The material was a sterile, featureless white. The table was white. The plate in front of me was white. The light wasn't coming from anywhere. It just was. Blinding. Absolute. For a second, I felt relief. This is it. The white light. Heaven. I did it. I must have turned the gun on myself. I'm clean. I'm free. But the silence was wrong. It wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. An absence of sound so complete it felt like a pressure against my eardrums. I looked around. It was a diner, all white. No chrome, no color, just shades of blankness. Other people were here. A family in a booth, a man at the counter, a woman by the window. They were dressed in normal clothes, but their faces were smooth. No eyes, no noses, no mouths, just blank ovals of skin. And they were talking, not with voices, but with a low hum, like a refrigerator. A vibration that I felt in my teeth. A menu stood on my table. It just said, "Menu," in clean black letters. Underneath, nothing. A blank page. I tried to stand up, but my legs wouldn't move. I was part of the booth. I tried to scream, but the hum just absorbed the sound before it could leave my throat. Panic, cold and sharp, clawed its way up my chest. I focused on the man at the counter. I could hear his thoughts, not his words, but his concepts. He was thinking about the space between atoms, the void that makes up everything. The woman by the window was contemplating the silence between notes of music. The family in the booth was silently debating the concept of zero. They were all thinking about nothing, worshiping it, becoming it. I tried to grab the salt shaker on my table. My hand went right through it. It wasn't real. It was just the suggestion of a salt shaker, an empty shape. I looked down at my own hands. They were starting to fade, to become translucent. The tattoo on my hand was losing its lines, the ink bleeding into a gray smear. I was being erased. My life, my sins, my name, my face, all of it was being scrubbed away, leaving only the blank white page. The perfect, awful, suffocating void. The nothing I had made my God. I don't know how long I was there. There was no time, just the humming and the whiteness and the slow, terrible dissolving. Then I woke up. I was on the floor of the church, the gun cold against my cheek. And the first thing I knew, the only thing I knew, was that there is nothing on the other side of that line. There's just the erasing, and I don't want it. He stopped talking. The silence in the interrogation room felt different now, heavier. He was shaking, his eyes wide and slick with the terror so pure it felt radioactive. "That's it?" I asked, my voice a whisper. "That's it." I should have called for a psych eval. I should have laughed. But the look in his eyes, I'd seen men confess to killing their families with less fear than what I saw on Orrin Calloway's face. "Where's the body?" I asked, my pen hovering over my notepad. "St. Jude's Cathedral, behind the altar." I went there. Of course I went. And it was there, exactly like he said. A kid with his life sprayed across the stone floor behind a marble angel. But here's the thing that keeps me awake. As I stood there looking down at the body, I felt nothing. No pity for the kid. No anger at Orrin. Just a cold, clean satisfaction. My case was closed. 67 for 67. My gold shield. My radio crackled to life, dispatch asking for a status update. But for one split second, the sound cut out. Total silence. And in the beam of my flashlight, a patch of the stone wall flickered. The color bled out of it, leaving a perfect, sterile square of white. It was gone in an instant. The sound came back. The color returned. But I felt it. A cold draft from a door I never knew existed. I got my perfect record. But the wind feels hollow. It tastes like nothing. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone in the quiet, I worry that I'm not in my apartment at all. I'm just sitting in a white booth, in a white diner, slowly being erased. And I just don't know it yet.